Hi, my name is Ruth Marks, and this is my report of what I've been doing with my grant award that I was given from Cullen St Gabriel's as part of their 10-year anniversary grants scheme. This year, I was awarded a grant to do a Key Stage 5 RE project in line with the objectives from Cullen St Gabriel's about sort of providing and encouraging high quality religious education provision and worldviews. And so I thought I would look at Key Stage 5 because in my own setting in Tower Hamlets, I was interested in knowing what core Key Stage 5 RE was being taught, how it was been delivered, and what I could do to support this and help achieve that aim of more students having access to and an availability of higher quality Key Stage 5 core RE content. And my project has sort of ended up being a focus around lived worldviews in Tower Hamlets, and I'll talk a bit about why in a second. So what change did I want to see? I wanted to see a higher quality of resources available for Key Stage 5. We have got a locally agreed syllabus, but there isn't a lot of content there about what should be done at Key Stage 5 in terms of core RE. It's very much down to different schools and colleges to map out how they're going to do this. So I wanted to be able to give more useful and higher quality resources that could be used in schools for core RE in Key Stage 5. To do this, I met with several people online who run core Key Stage 5 RE in their schools, and also interviewed different members of staff in different schools. I also put different surveys out to see what people thought and what kind of ideas they had for what would be most helpful. I also rose it at my local sort of Sacre group, as well as a local RE teacher Natre group, to see what people would find helpful and useful in Tower Hamlets, although the aim is for this project to be available up and down the country. Really, it's about showcasing what we have in Tower Hamlets as such an amazing borough for all things RE and worldviews. And so the beginning part of my project has been those interviews and the planning and coming up with the idea of what I'm going to do. And so the difference I've made at the moment is that I've started these conversations and sort of got it on the radar of people that this is something that's going to be there for us, and to think about how we're covering core RE requirements at Key Stage 5. But it's still in the process of being made. And so really the impact I'll be able to see is once it's been completed and I can see how people have used the resources and what impact this might have made in the classrooms. My learning points so far have been that I need to pace myself. This year has also marked a shift for me in terms of changing from a more full-time position to working on projects like this in a more self-employed way. And I think I need to really consider next year how I pace myself and the different projects I take on at different times, because this project has not just been like me making something, which a lot of my work has been in the past. It's also reliant on other people, meeting them and talking to them, as you'll see in a minute, what I'm actually decided to create as part of my project. And so I think, yeah, just in terms of timing and pacing myself as to how and when I expect things can and can't be done by is really important for me. But I've found Cullen St Gabriel's have been nothing but completely accommodating and understanding and helpful. So for Cullen St Gabriel's, just carry on exactly how you're doing things with the fantastic support that you give to people. My project so far has been a lot of conversations and trying to reach out to people to find out what they're doing and how I can best support them. And then once it's complete, it will be available on, I'll show you in a second how it's going to look, but it'll be available on a website. I'm going to use a Padlet sort of format where the resources are freely available to not only people who teach and work in Tower Hamlets, but also around the whole country. So it's a way of sort of showcasing what we do have in Tower Hamlets, and I'll tell you how in just a second. So my project has been to focus on the lived experience of different worldviews in Tower Hamlets. And I'm using the definition of worldviews as something that sort of shapes and determines how you might see the world, how you interact with the world. And this can incorporate religious worldviews and non-religious as well. And within religious worldviews, you might have different, there's a plethora of different types of ways that people sort of interact their religion with how they're living. And this is what I was really interested in, particularly with Tower Hamlets, with what we've got in terms of the different makeup of all the different people who live and work in Tower Hamlets. And so I've decided to bring that into the classroom in Tower Hamlets, but anywhere else anyone wants to use the resources, by interviewing people and asking them questions around what they think their worldview is, how it's sort of shaped their life and their work and what they do in Tower Hamlets. I also ask them what they love about living in Tower Hamlets as well, to sort of get this ideas, all the wonderful things we've got in our amazing borough. And so far, my plan is to do 12 of these, and then each one will come with an accompanying resource that can be used in the classroom. At the moment, I've done 3 so far. They're all about 8 to 10 minutes long. I'll tell you about each of the people in a moment. But the same questions can lead to really different answers, which is what I've really enjoyed about the questions I've asked these 3 people. Yes, they all happen to be women at the moment. I'm not sure if that's how the whole project's going to go. It wasn't the aim, but it is interesting to think about the experiences that women have within different worldviews in Tower Hamlets as well. And so I've interviewed Judy Begum, and who spoke a lot in her interview about activism, social justice, and the kind of history she has of sort of being born and brought up in Tower Hamlets. She even went to school in Tower Hamlets as well. So there's all these things that shaped who she is and what she now goes on to do. So for her, I'm going to kind of create a resource around perhaps anti-racism, activism, anti-apartheid movement, and how that links to her worldview. Secondly, I've interviewed Bridget from Cross Teach, who is Christian, and spoke a lot about that as her worldview and how that then shapes her life and what she does in Tower Hamlets to do with helping other people. She spoke a lot about seeing, God's creation in every person that she meets, and how this makes her want to help many people around her, the sanctity of life. And yeah, we spoke about the Bible and things like this as well. And then I've also interviewed Maggie Crosby, who is a really big sort of mental health advocate, particularly for young people and space for creativity for young people, who has suffered a loss in her family, and from that has it's just really sort of shaped a worldview she already had. It's like really sort of shaped it into her wanting to make something good and positive come out of this tragedy that she suffered. And so I think, and she's providing a space for young people in Tower Hamlets with the festival Coldfire that she helps to run in the memory of her son, Thomas Crosby. And so, yeah, I thought she was a really powerful story of someone who's had some sort of life events that really shaped her worldview and the work that she's doing in our wonderful borough of Tower Hamlets. So these are the 3 people I have so far, but I have others in mind. But like I say, to do with me and timing, it's about making sure I can get hold of these people, get the interviews done in a timely manner. It hasn't happened as quickly as I'd hoped in terms of like lining up all those interviews, and different things happen in people's lives, doesn't it? So this is something I've learned through this process. But my plan is to have 12 done in total in the end. And then the PowerPoint that accompanies each video will have different activities that teachers could choose from. Now, this could run in terms of like a drop day setting, where you look at different people when they do activities, almost like a carousel. Or it could be in a form time setting, where in registration, although I know obviously the recommendation is that religious studies is a discrete subject, but at Key Stage 5, I wanted to be sort of pragmatic with what I'm creating for people, something that could be used in different settings. So it could be a registration activity in the morning where they watch the video and then they do the activities, which are going to be very sort of talk-based, thinking and talking about the story of the person in Tower Hamlets. What was their worldview? How does it shape them? How does it shape what they do? And some of the kind of background things that those people speak about. So after each interview with each person, I sort of just mention to them what's come out from that I might then create the resource over. And before it goes live onto the Padlet, I'm going to check with them that they're kind of okay, that I haven't sort of taken something completely out of context, or I'm not bringing in something that's completely against what they hold as a value or dear. And so this is the plan. I feel confident that I'm going through the plan quite well, but like I say, different events have meant that things haven't lined up quite as efficiently as I was hoping they might. But the plan will be that the project is ready to launch in September, ready for schools to use in the next academic year. And I'd like to just take another opportunity to thank St Gabriel's for this fantastic opportunity to show the world how wonderful Tower Hamlets is.